get into a reoccurring segment on the show, which we like to call bashing billionaires.
Bashing billionaires.
Or isn't it trillionaires now? I think.
Oh, this guy is. I can't even keep track, man. I can't keep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, in case you hadn't got from that, we're talking about Mr. Bezos, aka the richest person in the world. He owns Amazon, and his most recent activity has involved him going to space. Now, we don't know too much about like what this was. I think isn't it something like they go up and like it's kind of like they're hovering like in like
He just
like,
gets out
outside.
into like the stratosphere
Yeah,
and then he
and
just
then
comes
come back
back.
down,
Yeah,
like,
I don't know why he
And
did that.
apparently it costs like a lot of money, like I don't know if it's millions or billions per minute or whatever, but it costs a lot of money basically. And I know that all him and Elon Musk and what's it called Kevin Branson, is that his name, the one who owns Virgin.
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson, not Kevin.
They're obsessed with space.
Yeah, they're obsessed with space, and it's basically like this: who can do the most, basically.
You know, it's coming like Russia and America during the Cold War era.
Except they're all American, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like
No, Richard Branson's British, is he not?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he's British.
We don't claim him. Anyway, but like it's just obviously.
You know what?
Cool.
Go to space. Bloody stay there. Stay in space as well. Don't come back.
It's just a bit like obviously going to space is cool and that, like exploring, but I'm also kind of like, what's the point if they're just literally just going just to literally hover and then come back down again?
It's because they have more money than sense, so like they have more money than like, yeah.
More
you
money
know these,
than morals.
yeah. I mean, these times your workers are wearing nappies because they don't get toilet breaks, and here you are spending like what millions and billions of dollars to go go into space for 5 minutes. Like, it's actually, you know what it is now. It's really like, obviously, as I think that this conversation, particularly about Jeff Bezos, came more into the forefront during the pandemic, right? Because that's when you really see the depravity of like Amazon, because didn't his wealth like double during the pandemic or something? I mean, like meanwhile people are dying and losing their absolute livelihoods. Like the disparity of experiences has been so obvious during the pandemic, right? And whilst all this discussion is coming about, there's been the point I'm making is that there people have tried to add so much nuance to this discussion about whether Jeff Bezos is a good person or he's a bad person for being a billionaire. It's now actually unquestionable. It's unquestionable for him to know that, like, that it's just unquestionable that this is what he's choosing to spend his money on when his workers need a raise, they need work rights, they need labour rights, you know?
Literally, like, obviously bad stuff is happening all the time, but especially the past few years, the whole world has kind of fallen on its knees, sort of thing.
Yep.
Now would be the... Like, obviously, you should be helping people in need all the time anyway, but now is... You can't ignore it.
It's time to really interrogate these things, right?
Like...
People talking about, going back to normal. Nah, the point is we should not be going back to normal. Like, we need to create, like, a new normal. A new normal from all the lessons that we've learned during the pandemic, which is how precarious people's lives truly are. How people are literally... So many people in this world are literally, a couple of paychecks away from being homeless, having nothing. These things are really pertinent, and like Amazon as well are quite extreme in terms of their like labor rights abuses. I'm talking about literally, like, I'm seeing case studies of like workers literally wearing like adult diapers and stuff like that because they don't get toilet breaks. People literally dying on shift. So it's just hilarious that this is what he's chosen to spend his money on. Like, whoever wants to now come to like his defense and be like, well, it's his money and he's earned it and all of this stuff, like, just remember this, innit? Next time you man are like,
you don't have enough change for the bus, and that is a bit like...
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff Bezos doesn't have that problem because he's exploiting people just like you.
Exactly.
I just don't really understand the mindset of it. Like, if I had that much money, like, is there no desire at all to redistribute the wealth at least a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, or doing like constant giving back to the community.
The thing is like, sorry, I'm so sorry. By the way, you know what? I'm just gonna take this opportunity. I don't know if I've ever said it on the show or not, but I've got ADHD.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned it 1 or 2 times.
Oh, have I?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's why, like, my ADHD's, I've been struggling with it a bit recently. Well, more than usual recently. So, like, I don't know if, like, people listen to the show and they're like, oh my God, she's so rude. She's always cutting people off. She's always speaking over people. You know, it's so hard for me to not do that. Like, it's actually my ADHD. Like, I have such a problem with it. Like, every time I do it, I'm like, stop, stop, stop. And, like, I can't, guys. Like, I'm not being rude. I'm not rude, Carlos. I'm sorry. But, like, more time you just need to keep speaking over me. Like, that's actually what people have to do.
You know what it is though? It's kind of like, at least it's like whenever you're doing it, which I don't think it comes across as rude. Like,
Okay.
at least 99% of the time. But like, you know what it is? It's that you're actually whenever you like are contributing, you're actually saying stuff that's worth being said.
Yeah.
At least it's that you're not like constantly butting in and like literally just talking absolute
Nonsense, yeah.
yeah. So with that in mind, off you go.
Yeah, sorry guys. I just wanted to add a little because I was actually like quite insecure about it. Like I was like, oh my God, like people are gonna. Because it is something that I struggle with, like in all my like relationships and interactions and everything. I have a big problem with like not being able to not like just cut people off. So please guys, don't judge me for it. I am neurodivergent. Like, just gonna say that. Anyways, what was I saying?
The point, put literal example of it, literally gone on to like
Yeah.
but obviously talking about Jeff Bezos and this, why is there no desire to redistribute the wealth?
That's it. You know what the thing is, yeah, like, and this is with all billionaires across the world, because, like, for example, Bill Gates, like, people will be like, oh my God, but he gives away half of his wealth and blah, 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 but it's like, he still retains an unnatural amount of wealth, and the amount of wealth that these guys have, that not only will they not be able to spend it in their lifetime, their grandkids, their great-grandkids, their great-great-grandkids will not be able to spend it in their lifetime either. Like, if we look at Jeff Bezos' fortune, I wonder how many generations of of like his descendants there is going to have to be until they spend the money that he has. And that's with them not earning anything. Like, you actually can't.
You know what, I rate his ex-wife as well, because at least I think in their divorce settlement, at least I think she kind of gave all that money that she got away. Like, she was like, I think she was like, didn't want it. So at least she's got some kind of moral compass. But I just don't understand it. Like, I think I saw something as well about like the people celebrities who've donated the most, like, or something in the past like year. Marcus Rashford has donated. I think it said that, I don't really understand how this works, but it said that he's donated 126% of his wealth. Like, I don't get that. But like, clearly he's.
That's
doing
our babes, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's our babes. That's
Like,
actually our babes.
Like, do better, isn't it?
And it just goes to show, like, it does actually, all of this does actually come from a place of compassion, right? Like, someone like Marcus Rashford, obviously his life and his background have been really super well documented, and we know that he came from, like, real financial, like, hardship and, like, you know, precarity and stuff like that in that way. And it's that insight that's put him in a position now where he gives away, like, so much of his wealth. So it is actually that is the thing between like greed and like philanthropy. It's compassion and insight. It's not even to do with like how much money you have or how much you don't have. Marcus Rashford is not giving away what he's giving away just because he has bare extra. Because bare man have bare extra and they're not giving it away. He's giving it away because he has compassion, because he has insight, because he's been in that position. So ultimately, that is what it is. That's what it comes down to. It's a test of like human compassion and like human decency. And you know what? I am going to quote from the Bible, and I will say that King Jesus has said, it is more difficult for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a wealthy man to enter the gates of kingdom. Can I get an amen?
I'm really confused at what's going on by amen. Like,
amen.
Halima just quoted that. Oh my God.
Listen, we're all the same. At the end of the day, we're all the same. Christians, Muslims, Jewish people, we're all the same. I do genuinely believe that, but
people are gonna come for you about that, but like
Abrahamic religions were all the same, in my opinion. There is that what you wanted to hear? But yeah, honestly, like I actually pray to God, like I beg, never make me wealthy, God. Like give me enough so I can help people. Don't make me wealthy. I'm terrified of being wealthy.
I think that in itself just kind of shows like what's it called? Like it sounds weird when you say it, but then it's like it makes sense. Like
Yeah.
with great was it with great power comes great responsibility, and I don't know
Yep.
if I would want that responsibility.
Mm.
To be comfortable, yes. To be but like what's the point? I
Not
don't
even
understand.
not even responsibility, but like corruption. Like your heart
Mm,
must truly be corrupted for you to be able to see what's going on in the world and know that you can fix so much of it and not willingly not do that, right?
I don't. Yeah, I don't get it.
And obviously, again, like if we're talking about Jeff Bezos and going into space, like we have to talk about like the
Mm,
climate effects of that. Um, I don't need to say like to be fair, like this is something that even me personally, I'm not that or as tuned into it as I should be. Um, but you know, there's so much recently in the past couple of, like in the past decade or so, so much discourse has come out where we're talking about individuals, right? And we're talking about individual responsibility that people have. Use a plastic straw, stop eating meat, like cycle to work, all of these things. And ultimately, like, okay, yeah, keep doing it because ultimately we're all responsible for what we do. But none of that truly, a plastic straw is not, a paper straw is not going to make a difference when people like Jeff Bezos are, going, are using, like, I don't know the science of it, but like doing what they're like going into space just for the fun of it,
yeah,
right?
using all those resources, affecting the climate in the
Exactly,
way in
exactly.
the all the resources it takes to actually do
Going,
that
yeah.
literally for 5 minutes
Mhm.
just for like
Creating all
to
those
say that you can.
emissions, all of that. Exactly. It's so funny as well because it is actually like let's be honest. Like if you guys don't know, the blame is with like the big corporations in the world,
Mm,
and it's hilarious because like I think it was Boris Johnson. Like he went to it was like some climate meeting
yeah,
from London to Cornwall. My guy took a plane. Like at this point, he has to be trolling us. At this point, he's laughing at us like you are all mugs. It must be.
does not make any
Yeah,
sense.
exactly. So, guys, if you're really truly serious about like climate devastation and you want to make a difference, you have to. Is the answer is not. I mean, okay, yes, do other things. Like paper straws and not eating meat, whatever makes you comfortable. The real answer, the most effective answer, is political lobbying. Like that is what actually you need to do if you want to make a difference in terms of climate devastation. That is what you need to do. Is political action. That's what needs to happen.
'Cause there's only so much you can do as an individual. It needs to be a
Exactly.
collective
Exactly.
change.
Exactly.
This is what we were actually talking about a similar discussion a few weeks back with Simran, and I was saying like people shouldn't I have to force myself not to feel guilty. Like sometimes like I will like not put stuff in the right recycling bin just because like I'm really tired and I don't want to like wash that, and like I obviously that's like bad on me, but then also I'm kind of like I should not like keep myself up
The
at night
entire
about
onus is not
that,
on you. Yeah.
like when literally people it could help so much and
Yeah,
they're not
yeah.
doing that.
Like I don't know the statistic, but I know like the vast majority of some kind of pollution um comes from the West.
Mm.
So there was a statistic that I read. Like I'm so sorry that I didn't come prepared with it, but like it's so for example, somewhere like Bangladesh, right? Bangladesh disproportionately faces climate devastation because we're very flat. I've heard for my whole life that in about 30 years, Bangladesh, if climate devastation continues the way that it is, Bangladesh is going to be gone. Like, it's going to be completely underwater, right? And so they disproportionately face the effects of it. And then it's somewhere like it was America that disproportionately creates, like, climate devastation, basically. Um, so, yeah, it's collective action, but it's also holding the right people to account.
Hmm.
Because you could go your whole life never eating meat again. You could go your whole life never using plastic again. It's actually not going to make a difference until the corporations are being held to account. Like
Very true.
that's what it is.
It's kind of a similar situation to before when we were talking about how black people cannot be liberated until queer black people are liberated, because it's like the same, so it's the same sort of thing where it's kind of like you can't like it's
You have to get to the root of
yeah,
it, innit?
exactly the
The
thing
overarching
on
structure,
what
exactly.
encompasses everything.
Exactly.
Like that's what needs to actually change.
Exactly.